就你们觉得现在马路上35岁以上的女人，她真实的样子真的很漂亮吗？
Do you think women over 35 on the streets today are truly beautiful in their natural state? I'm a woman, and I've reached a certain age myself. To be honest, women understand women best. I feel that once you pass a certain age, there's a big difference. For women over 35, let's just call them young matrons. Many men now have certain feelings about these mature women, calling them Miss or Young Auntie. Let me tell you, all that beauty can only be appreciated from a distance, understand? Once you're older, if you want someone to think you're beautiful, they can't look too closely. You can only give them a sense of hazy beauty and temperament. That's why when people say an older woman is beautiful, they always mention her temperament, right? So, if an older woman wants to be beautiful, she can only rely on her clothes and makeup to look sexier. But in reality, let me tell you, after 35, if she walks out on the street without any makeup with a bare face, she might just look like an Annie. Of course, compared to an average Annie, she would certainly look a bit better in all aspects. Wrinkles aren't the main thing. Many people say you get wrinkles when you get old, but that's not it. Wrinkles are related to your environment and habits. You see, some people might be 40 and not have many wrinkles. But what I think is, some things are irreversible. And this irreversible thing isn't wrinkles, but what is it? You'll find that the biggest characteristic of everyone getting older is that their entire facial muscles become loose and saggy. Even plastic surgery can't fix this, because a facelift can only pull the outer layer of skin. Many women online who are 35, but look like they're in their 20s, well, to be honest, nowadays, what woman, even a teenager, would be foolish enough to post her original, unedited, bare-faced photo from when she just woke up, or a photo without any cosmetic procedures? It's absolutely impossible. No one is that foolish. Those who look like they're in their 20s are basically using beauty filters. Even looking 28 at 35 is rare and depends entirely on one's natural constitution, right? Most rely on makeup and skincare. It looks okay from a distance, but up close, it depends on the lighting. You might see someone looking very young in a certain setting, but if you change to a scene with different lighting, you can see a face that matches their age. Some people say money makes a difference. Does it? I know a few wealthy women over 35 who use luxury skincare products and get regular treatments, with family assets in the hundreds of millions of yuan, around 14 million US dollars. I even have relatives like that. From a distance, they do look pretty good, really, even when they're almost 50. But there's this feeling. You'll feel that when you see them, sometimes they look a bit young, but then they turn their head to the side, or when they greet you, you feel they look a bit old. That feeling of looking young one moment and old the next completely depends on whether they are wearing makeup and what the lighting is like. And they also often talk about their anxiety over their appearance. Of course, because they have money, it's true they look a bit younger than their peers. And what's the most fatal situation? This is something outsiders can't see. Maybe only they themselves or those close to them can see it. What is it? Overall, breast, sagging, belly and waist fat, loose muscles all over the body, and some even experience postpartum vaginal laxity. Of course, there are exceptions, but this situation is common, inevitable, and irreversible. In the past, I used to see all kinds of breast augmentation and vaginal tightening surgeries and couldn't believe people would do them, but now I understand. There's a very obvious difference in feeling compared to a woman in her 20s. Besides, most mature women have to work and take care of kids. They have basically no time to exercise after work. At this age, being able to maintain a youthful appearance and physical condition is definitely a small minority. And even then, you can't look too closely, and that's with their clothes on, right? You say those mature women have sex appeal. That's because their makeup and mature, sexy style of dress might look more harmonious with their age. Let me ask you, if you have a girl in her 20s wear high heels, black stockings, and a short skirt, you just feel it's very childish and naive. So in this case, we tend to think the image of a woman in her 30s is better. Really, many people, how do I put this? I think with people, Sometimes if you tell a lie, they say you're hypocritical, but if you tell the truth, most people can't handle it. Many people's defenses will be broken. Really, if you don't believe me, leave a comment yourself or send a picture to others to see. I'm telling you, if you post it, someone will definitely know or guess your real age. Really, you don't believe the facts. Even with photoshopped pictures, the feeling is still different. So I think sometimes we really don't dare to face and admit objective facts. Sometimes people live in their own fantasies and can only comfort themselves.
如果嫁人不是为了自己有个家，
If getting married isn't for the sake of having your own family, for the sake of living a good life, then don't get married. If having children is for the man's sake, for your in-laws' sake, then you absolutely should not give birth. For a woman like you, not getting married is a form of kindness, a way of accumulating good karma. A child who is not welcomed by their mother, why would you bring them into this world, only for them to lack a father and a mother? Your own basin, a crude term for a woman's reproductive organs, is for you to decide, right? You can choose not to marry for your entire life, but you can't be drinking chicken soup, toxic ideologies, while selling your basin, can you? Using childbirth as a bargaining chip is what's called immoral, you know? Nobody is forcing you to get married and have children. If you think giving birth is a disadvantage for you, then just go and get your basin cut off, then you'll never have the chance to have children again, right? That would save you a lot of trouble. This is an era of the rule of law. No man or in-laws are going to come to your house and abduct you as a bride. Stop making yourself sound so rare, will you? What this society doesn't lack are older single women and old bachelors. There are already 100 million single women in the countryside now, and aren't men still living just fine? And then there are those chicken soup women, women who preach hollow philosophies, who always bring up the issue of children taking the father's surname. You can also have the child take your surname. The reason they take the father's surname is to tie down the father, to tie down the man to support the family. If you have the ability to support a family, you don't want the man's car or house, and your child will not inherit any of the man's family's assets in the future, then you can have your child take whoever's surname you want, right? Even if you give the child the surname Dog, the grandparents nowadays wouldn't have any objections. The in-laws from the post-50s and post-60s generations have all awakened now. They will no longer let people ride on their necks and crap on them. The era of wanting to have your cake and eat it too is over. If you want to fight for feminism, nobody is going to pay for you. Nobody is going to indulge you for making a fuss about childbirth anymore. If you just want to have a child, can't you just spend some money to borrow a seed? Go have a child, have it take your surname, inherit your parents' property, and no one will say you are wrong. Stop getting married and bringing disaster upon men and their parents. It's nothing. Go away.
一个家庭最大的悲哀是什么？
What is the greatest sorrow of a family? The greatest sorrow of a family is not poverty, not arguments but complaints. Both parents and children should take a good look at this. Have you ever seen someone complain about an unhappy marriage? In Buddhism, there are 4 types of relationships between people: repaying kindness, repaying grievances, collecting debts, and paying debts. The same applies to couples. Whether it's repaying kindness or collecting debts, love and resentment are inevitable in marriage. The more you complain, the more misfortune truly comes. I have a little story to share with you all today. It's about a couple. After they got married, every time the wife went back to her mother's house, she would bring up the neighbors' villas and luxury cars, complaining that her own life was unsatisfactory. Her mother just smiled faintly and asked her to get a few bowls for rice from the cupboard. Looking at the bowls of different sizes, she picked the 4 most beautiful ones and brought them to her mother. The mother pointed at the bowls and said, "Child, those rough porcelain bowls can also hold rice. Why didn't you even glance at them? After all, when you eat, the most important thing is the rice, not the bowl. It's like your marriage. Whether it's beautiful or not is just a form. Love is the rice in the bowl. No matter how exquisite the bowl in your hand is, if you complain endlessly, the bowl can no longer hold a single bit of love. This is the root of your unhappy marriage." My friends, how many marriages begin with complaints and accusations? Complaining that the husband is incompetent, complaining that the wife is too naggy, complaining that the husband doesn't care for the family, complaining that the wife is too controlling. When trivial matters overshadow romance, When disgust and dissatisfaction overshadow harmony and warmth, when a couple goes from love to hate and neither is willing to back down, the family has already fallen apart. A happy marriage is not about having a lot, but about having fewer complaints in your heart. You cannot have the spring flowers and at the same time admire the autumn moon. You cannot have the autumn fruits and at the same time admire the blooming flowers. You cannot have all the good things. Only when you accept the other person's shortcomings can you also possess their strengths and enjoy the satisfaction their strengths bring. My friends, how can everything be perfect between a couple? Being too critical is just asking for trouble. Choosing to be tolerant is the way to long-lasting happiness. Marriage is a place of practice, and tolerance and respect are the best forms of cultivation. Secondly, have you ever seen anyone complain about their parents being incapable? Mencius said, "Alas, if a person has no heart for their parents, how can they be considered human?" What does this mean? It means that a person who complains about their parents and has lost their filial piety is not worthy of being called a human. A person who resents their parents will inevitably have a heart full of gloom and dissatisfaction. Surrounded by this negative energy, even if they can acquire wealth, it will quickly decline until they are left with nothing. My friends, being unfilial is like a tree without roots or water without a source. A tree needs its roots, water needs its source, and our parents are our greatest blessing. When you notice them eating more carelessly, walking more slowly, or even speaking less clearly, don't be impatient. Learning to be tolerant and understanding and speaking kindly is the greatest form of filial piety for a child. The Zhongguang Xianwen ancient Chinese teachings says it well. Do not shirk from the labor of filial piety, for in a flash you will become a parent yourself. Do good without expecting reward, and in time you will see your own children and grandchildren. Treating your parents well is treating your future self well. Thirdly, have you ever seen anyone complain about their children being ungrateful? In the eyes of writer Eileen Chong, her mother always had an angry and sorrowful face. She would curse the seriously ill Eileen Chong for being a jinx and would shout that she was a pig-head in front of numerous guests. These repeated complaints and accusations made Eileen Chong both hate and fear her mother. When her mother was seriously ill in her later years and hoped Eileen Chong would come to London to take care of her, Eileen Chong only sent a little money in a letter and showed no further concern. My friends, a child would rather be pricked by a cactus than listen to an adult's sarcasm and ridicule. We can easily heal the wounds on our bodies, but we can never repair a wounded heart. As parents, speak kindly. Never turn education into resentment, and don't let communication become criticism. Complaining is truly a curse in disguise. Encouragement is a blessing. When getting along with your children, resolve resentment with love, turn criticism into belief, and turn complaints into encouragement. My friends, please believe that your emotions hold the key to your children's best future selves. There is a classic example of two people in the desert who finally get half a cup of water. The grateful person sees, finally, there's water, while the complaining person sees, why is there only half a cup? The same is true in a family. For the same sentence, why are you back so late? Some hear concern while others hear accusation. People who see only the negative will always use their sharp emotions to stab everyone around them, resulting in mutual destruction. A family is not a garbage dump for emotional venting. In psychology, there is an attribution theory which states that when people attribute the causes of their failures to external factors, constantly complaining and criticizing, they lose the motivation to work hard, leading to misfortune and obstacles in everything they do. So, my friends, in all matters, look for the cause within yourselves first. Saving your pleasantness for your family is the path to a prosperous home. Finally, may you and I, from this moment on, think with one mind, work with one heart, not blame our parents, not blame our partners, not blame our children, and certainly not blame ourselves. Let our families become more and more prosperous, and our family members better and better.
为啥现在都说结婚能让男人快速变穷？
Why is it now said that marriage can make a man poor quickly? Does that sound a bit too outrageous? But too many real-life examples confirm this point. Marriage today is no longer the kind of union where two people work together and support each other. Instead, it has become a high-threshold, high-risk, and extremely expensive war of attrition. Do you think marriage is about building a small family, where two people earn money together to live and have a warm harbor? In fact, in most cases now, it's not like that at all. For a man, Marriage is more like a high-risk investment. Once you step in, not only will you have to spend all your previous savings, but your salary income for the next few decades will also be locked in, completely out of your control. Many men are worn out to the point of exhaustion before they realize that marriage is not a guarantee of happiness, but rather a potential dead end for financial freedom. From the moment you start preparing for marriage, a man is already standing on a financial cliff. When buying a house, you either have to pay in full or take out a loan, and you have to put your partner's name on it, otherwise it's considered a problem with your attitude. The bride price, wedding supplies, wedding photos, and banquet are all indispensable. If any part is not done well, you will be accused of being incapable, not loving her, or not valuing the relationship. But when you spend this money, you get no return. It's purely a one-time expense that's gone once spent. In fact, the period after marriage is when the financial crisis accelerates. Daily expenses, children's education, supporting parents, social obligations, and even giving gifts during holidays are all tacitly expected to be borne by the man. It's acceptable for a woman to say she wants to rest for a while before working again, but a man doesn't have that privilege. He must keep earning money without stopping. If you try to save a little money, you'll be called stingy. If you don't earn money, you'll be directly scolded for being useless. You might have thought that working hard would make life better, but after marriage, you discover that the harder you work, the more you're like a spinning top, only making the family machine run faster. You can't stop even if you want to. Once you stop, the whole family might fall apart. What's even more frustrating is that no matter how much a man gives in a marriage, his efforts are rarely recognized. At best, he's considered an unconditional provider. Moreover, whenever problems arise in the marriage, regardless of whether you are at fault, the division of property and child support payments will cling to you like a suction cup. Many men work hard for half their lives, only to be left with a few old clothes after a divorce. What's more terrifying is that the risks in marriage have nothing to do with whether you are a good person. You can be fully dedicated and responsible for your family, but you can't control your partner's thoughts, nor can you predict what will happen in the future. The more you give, the more your partner might demand that you do better to reach the next level. If you relax even a little or take a small step back, you will immediately be accused of lacking ambition and being inactive. Marriage has been forcibly turned into a non-stop race that gets more tiring as you run, but you can never see the finish line. Now, more and more men are becoming clear-headed, especially in some developed cities. They are choosing not to get married, not because they are afraid of responsibility, but because they have understood some issues. Marriage means handing over your right to choose for the next few decades to someone else. My parents have also come to realize this and no longer push for marriage, because they also know that a failed marriage can wipe out decades of the family's savings. In the end, marriage is no longer a protective umbrella for men. Instead, it has become a trigger for financial risk. In the current environment, choosing not to be trapped by marriage and not blindly pursuing so-called family stability is actually a rational choice to protect wealth and improve quality of life. This isn't about men evading responsibility. Rather, they have understood a principle. Marriage is not the only way to achieve happiness, but it is one of the fastest ways to return to poverty.
And before we continue, let us know in the comments where you're watching this video from. Connecting with viewers from all around the world is a huge inspiration for us. Thank you so much.
兄弟们，不管你多缺老婆，
Brothers, no matter how desperate you are for a wife, if you encounter the following types of women, run as far away as you can. As the saying goes, marrying a good wife brings prosperity for 3 generations. Marrying a bad wife ruins your entire life. So what kind of women should you not get involved with? First, those you discover have NPD, narcissistic personality disorder. What are the traits of NPD? NPD individuals are self-centered, excessively focused on their own needs, and in intimate relationships. They never empathize or put themselves in others' shoes. They only demand excessively. The second type is the older, beautiful woman, especially one who is highly educated and has a good job. Unless you are handsome and highly capable, you should never touch this type, or you will die a miserable death. The third is a woman whose family background or educational background is vastly different from yours. When looking for a partner, it's important to be of similar social standing. Don't think about climbing up the social ladder, but also don't accommodate someone too far beneath you. The fourth type is women from single-parent or divorced families. Try to stay away. This is especially true for those whose parents divorced or were single since childhood, as they often lack a sense of security. We're not discriminating against anyone here, just stating the facts. Whoever ends up with one will know. Fifth, during the dating process, she's the type who breaks up with you every time you argue, blocks and deletes you at the drop of a hat, and says all sorts of vicious things. To put it nicely, she lacks a sense of security. To put it bluntly, she is extremely selfish. Break up with her as soon as possible. Otherwise, you will have endless quarrels after you get married. The sixth type, and this one might be controversial, is the woman who frequently hangs out at various entertainment venues, is addicted to smoking, is often drunk, and has large tattoos. Although you can't judge a girl's character based on these things, the probability of her being a bad partner might be a bit higher. A girl with a proper upbringing will, in all likelihood, not get involved in these things.
我想问一下啊，就如果结婚1年
I want to ask, if you get divorced after being married for a year, what happens to the bride price? My younger brother got married in October the year before last, and our whole family was very happy. So, my parents took out all the family savings they had accumulated over so many years for him to get married, and it still wasn't enough. They had to borrow over 100,000 more. In total, the bride price, wedding banquet, and other miscellaneous costs added up to nearly 400,000, about 56,000 US dollars. The current situation is that my brother and my sister-in-law have been separated for a year. They just haven't filed for divorce yet. This is because my brother wants my sister-in-law to return 100,000, about 14,000 US dollars, but my sister-in-law is unwilling. She says that she didn't work during the year after they got married, and her expenses were very high, so they couldn't reach an agreement. This has dragged on for a year. Actually, from the very beginning, we told my brother to just forget about the money and part on good terms. I said since you've already decided you can't continue living together, then you should make a clean break, and it sooner, so you can each start a new relationship. But what I say is just my opinion. Ultimately, it's up to the individuals involved. A couple of days ago, my brother said he received a phone call from a lawyer hired by my sister-in-law to understand the situation. I said, this is getting more and more complicated. What are we going to do?
以前我觉得有人说大龄剩女生不出孩子这件事情啊，太刻薄了。
I used to think it was too harsh when people said that older single women couldn't have children, until this year when my 36-year-old colleague had her first baby. She gave birth prematurely at just 7 months. During her pregnancy, her blood sugar was extremely high, and she was hospitalized 3 times to try to prevent miscarriage. In the end, she still had a premature birth, and the baby had to be placed in an incubator for over 2 months. Only then did I come to believe that childbirth for older single women is a truly difficult hurdle, and the risks are just too great. Some men have told me not to introduce them to older single women. They say that if something happens to an older mother during childbirth, not only will they lose everything, but they will also be blamed by the woman's family for the rest of their lives. The family will think it was because she was having a baby for him that the accident happened, and they will feel incredibly guilty forever. If she can't give birth and if there's something wrong with the child, it would truly be better not to get married at all. I used to think they were just making things up when they said this, but today I suddenly realized that what they said actually makes sense. They said that if you marry a girl under 32, the risks are indeed much lower.
兄弟们，我今天不小心刷到这个女传博主。
Brothers, today, I accidentally came across this feminist blogger, and the first thing she said was, women are at a disadvantage in marriage, a huge disadvantage. For us men, I find this very strange. How are they at a disadvantage? The man buys the house, the man buys the car. The bride price is several 100,000 yuan, equivalent to tens of thousands of USD. And after getting married, the marriage certificate can't even restrict her right to love freely. If they divorce, she can naturally get half of the assets. Later, I thought about it carefully, and I discovered that the disadvantage they talk about refers to the things they might have had if they didn't get married. For example, if she didn't get married, she could forever fantasize that she has a chance to marry a rich heir, drive a luxury car, live in a villa, and have a life free of worries. But if she's with you, she can only live with you in a small, old apartment and drive a car that you haven't dared to replace in 5 or 6 years. They will also think if I didn't get married, I would have pursued a career and I would be an independent, powerful woman now, a chairwoman of the board. She feels that it's marriage that made her lose these things. But in reality, among the 70 million older single women, how many are successful career women? How many have married rich heirs? How should I put this? Before they turn 35, they will never know that the preferential treatment society gives them is all based on their potential reproductive value. As soon as they turn 35, society will, by default, assume they have lost their reproductive ability or that it comes with high risks. After 35, their role is the same as a man's. Their VIP membership has expired. They face the same social competition as men. At this point, most women have neither succeeded in their careers nor found a man during their golden period to provide for the rest of their lives. And in the real competitive workplace, they most likely have very little competitiveness. The final result, most likely, is just ending up in desolation.
为什么中国的男性都快急
Why are Chinese men collectively withdrawing from the marriage and dating market? And who is the main culprit? It's that shameless group of gold-digging women who fantasize about using marriage to pay off debts and get rich. They absolutely hold the top spot. The matchmaking market today is no longer about men chasing women. It has completely turned into a women's kingdom. It's truly a case of one rotten apple spoiling the whole barrel. Those who don't understand the situation will surely have questions, saying that our country clearly has more men than women. So why has the marriage market become so awkward today? Frankly, it's because in the vast majority of blind dates, the woman only cares about 2 questions. How much money do you have? How much money can you spend on me? No matter how hardworking or ambitious a man is, how upright his character and values are, or how good his temper is, they don't care at all. The woman only cares about the man's house, car, savings, and the security he can provide. I am also a woman, and I truly feel sad from the bottom of my heart. Why are these ordinary girls becoming more and more confident, demanding everything? Why don't they look at character first and instead single-mindedly pursue material wealth? Honestly, from the illusory beauty created by beauty cameras and filters, the fantasies shaped by short dramas, to the various social media platforms promoting a sense of female entitlement, and then to capitalists doing everything they can to flatter women, it's hard for them not to develop delusions. After these 3D women, referring to women living in a virtual world, have their pleasure points stimulated, why should they have to bother with the diaosi, loser/underachieving men, who are their actual match in reality? Why can't they fantasize about a domineering CEO in a supercar falling in love with them? Right? In fact, why must capital create dreams for this bunch of fools? Because in order to be worthy of a young, powerful CEO, these fools have to package themselves with yoga pants, all kinds of high-end cosmetics, beautiful clothes, travel, and exquisite afternoon tea, don't they? But they themselves have little ability to earn money, so don't they have to think about harvesting men to satisfy their vanity? However, the licking dog economy, an economy based on simps, has long since collapsed. This bunch of fools spends beyond their means to maintain their image, resulting in all kinds of debt and financial ruin, doesn't it? And what about the men? Their consciousness has awakened. They are now focused on finding women with upright values who are willing to have a relationship based on mutual effort. If they can't find one, they would rather be alone. In the end, men use the money they didn't have to simp for to live freely and comfortably. You'll see, in the end, the materialistic country girls will be left with no one, and it's truly a case of whoever is stupid is the one who gets embarrassed.
来，今天把这个
All right, Today, let's sort out the requirements these ladies have for a man who is 180 centimeters tall with an annual salary of 1 million yuan, about 140,000 US dollars. You want a man with a car, a house, and an annual salary of 1 million, while you were born in 76, are 156 centimeters tall, and weigh 71 kilograms. You have to be realistic, don't you? A man who is 180 centimeters with a 1 million yuan salary is not someone you can just settle for. You say as long as he's easy on the eyes, it's fine. But then you insist on screenshotting a handsome guy from Douyin and saying, "This is the standard. I like this type." I get it, the type you like, a guy in his 20s, he likes them too, I like them too, we all like them. Who doesn't like a universally acknowledged handsome guy? So, just relax and find someone you find pleasing to the eye. A few days ago, a lady born in 75 wanted to find a good-looking man. I found her a guy born in 80, 188 centimeters tall, and truly handsome. When he went out, he'd shave, iron his shirt, and polish his shoes. I'm telling you, it took him 2 hours to get out the door. After living together for 3 months, she couldn't stand it anymore. The thing she couldn't stand the most was that he needed 2 hours to leave the house. I used to understand women taking 2 hours to get ready, but now I don't even understand that anymore. I think everyone should just wear their confidence on their face. Do you really need 2 hours to go out? The second point is having food to eat. If you like to cook, then cook without regrets or complaints. If you don't like to cook, then be sweet with your words. Wow, this braised pork is delicious. The rice today is cooked just right, not too soft or hard. This vegetable is good, a bit salty, but that's okay, just use less salt next time. If you're sweet with your words, you'll get ready-made meals to eat. Don't be a nag who complains but doesn't do any work. I hate that kind of person the most. The third point, being able to sleep soundly without drooling. Don't laugh at this. Why did the first marriage fail? It's because his snoring was scarier than a tractor starting up. At night, not only did he not cover you with a blanket, but he also stole yours. A second marriage is just about finding someone who knows to cover you with a blanket at night. So when you have a nightmare and turn over, you have someone to lean on, right? And then you complain that his belly is too big. This time, a 76 lady is complaining that a 74 man's belly is a bit big. It's no big deal. The weather is getting cold. You can use that beer belly to warm your hands. It's just right and toasty. So, throw all your rigid rules to the wind. A second marriage is like eating twice cooked pork. It's not about how fancy the ingredients are.
I've seen shameless people, but I've truly never seen someone this shameless. For 3 years, you studied for the civil service exam without earning a single penny, completely relying on your boyfriend as an ATM to support you. You ate his food, used his things, and spent his money. He genuinely wanted to marry you with all his heart, but you, on the other hand, kept him hanging as a backup plan without giving him a clear answer. So, it turns out you were treating him as a long-term meal ticket and an emotional dumpster, waiting to kick him to the curb once you passed the civil service exam, so you could marry someone with better prospects, staging a drama of slaying the sweetheart after securing success, right? You can't even hide your petty thoughts. You said you'd consider marriage after passing the exam, but in your heart, you probably already threw your boyfriend into the trash heap of those unworthy of a future civil servant. You think that once you get ashore, pass the exam, you could be picky and find someone richer and more powerful than your current partner. Therefore, in your eyes, all his sacrifices were a matter of course, and his marriage proposal was just a stumbling block to your glorious future. To put it bluntly, you are a classic example of riding a donkey while looking for a horse, treating someone who genuinely cared for you as a mere transitional object. Your calculations were loud and clear, but unfortunately, man's schemes are no match for heaven's. Did you think you were superior just because you passed the civil service exam? Did you think that after leaving your ex-boyfriend with his poor conditions, he would have to beg you to get back together? As it turns out, he found a new love and got engaged in just 4 months. and his new girlfriend's prospects are even better than yours. That must have shattered your defenses, right? Didn't you look down on him? Didn't you think you could marry someone better? Why is it that when he found happiness first, you're so anxious that you're jumping up and down and complaining online? To be frank, you're not upset about losing love. You're upset that your plan B actually found a better option before you did. You're upset that the man you had under your thumb for 3 years didn't just wait in place for you to get ashore and bestow a title upon him. Your psychological distortion is truly boundless. You think you can ride a donkey while looking for a horse, but you won't allow the donkey to run off first. You can look down on others, but you can't accept them finding happiness before you do. You wasted 3 years of his youth, and when he moved on to find happiness, you suddenly became the victim. That's hilarious. Do you think netizens are fools who will join you in cursing your ex-boyfriend? Wake up. All everyone sees is an ambitious, ungrateful woman who freeloaded for 3 years, and after all her scheming, ended up with nothing. You didn't get sympathy, you lost the donkey, and you earned yourself the reputation of a parasite. Now, you're playing the victim online, just trying to package your unwillingness and jealousy as being wronged. But your twisted little thoughts are nauseating to us netizens, even through the screen. Frankly, you deserve it. You're the one who treated sincerity like trash and took others' efforts for granted. You're the one with unrealistic ambitions, eyes higher than the top of your head, but a fate thinner than paper. Now that reality has slapped you hard in the face, instead of reflecting on your own problems, you want to drag us netizens into cyberbullying with you. This only proves that you not only have poor character, but are also dark to the core. I advise you to stop your disgusting act immediately and stop embarrassing yourself. After all, nobody wants to watch a parasite whose phoenix dream has been shattered, hysterically exposing her own stupidity and twisted nature online.
Mr. Liu from Zhengzhou, Hunan, has truly engraved the word responsibility into his very bones. Married for 8 years, he worked in another province, living frugally in a dilapidated house that cost 300 yuan, about $42 a month, drafty in the winter and leaky in the summer. He sent every single cent of his income to his wife, who was at home taking care of their child. Over 8 years, he managed to save up 1.16 million yuan, about $162,400 in fixed deposits. He thought this was for the future of his family of 3, but reality hit him like a bucket of ice water. Not a single cent of the 1.16 million yuan was left, and on top of that, he was saddled with an online debt of over 80,000 yuan, about $11,200. And the perpetrator of all this was the wife he had treated with all his heart. It turned out that 670,000 yuan, about $93,800 of the money had been used by his wife to frantically tip male live streamers, and she couldn't even explain where the rest of the money went. When confronted by her husband, the wife nonchalantly said, "I just got caught up in the moment, helping the streamer in a PK battle. We've never met in person." Without ever meeting, she had completely wiped out the family savings, which her husband had earned through his blood and sweat. Mr. Liu endured hardships while working away, lived in the worst conditions, and saved every penny. Also, his wife and child could have a good life. Not so his wife could take their joint property to lavish gifts on strange men and be taken for a fool. Now, Mr. Liu is both hurt and angry, only wanting to recover some of the assets and then get a quick divorce. Who could possibly accept this? 8 years of youth and hard work were exchanged for betrayal and a mountain of debt. The most basic trust and bottom line between a husband and wife were completely shattered by this woman. Throughout today's video, we've journeyed together through numerous stories and slices of life, filled with a full spectrum of emotions, from sacrifice and the pain of betrayal to the bitterness of unfulfilled expectations and the fiery debates over money, responsibility, and human value in modern relationships. At times, we felt anger, at others, sorrow, And sometimes, we even saw ourselves in these narratives. These stories, as raw and thorny as they may be, all reflect a common reality. We're living in an age where external pressures, from money and status to the perfect images on social media, are gradually eroding the core values of love and family. We are so busy searching for a beautiful, luxurious bowl that we forget the rice inside is what truly nourishes us. The greatest lesson Chinese emotion hopes to impart to you today isn't about who is right or wrong, or how to win an argument. The greatest lesson lies in the choice of our own attitude. We can choose to see a half-empty glass and complain, or we can choose to be grateful that we still have water to drink. We can choose to criticize the flaws of our partners, our parents, or our children, or we can choose to embrace and appreciate their strengths. Marriage is not a destination of perfection, but a journey of cultivation, where two imperfect people learn to live together. A family is not a dumpster for venting negative emotions, but a sanctuary that must be nurtured with harmony and understanding. Don't let complaints become a curse that shatters the happiness you already possess. Thank you for listening. Please leave your thoughts in the comments below, as every share is a precious piece in this multicolored mosaic of emotions. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Chinese Emotion as we continue to explore the profound depths of the human experience. Goodbye, and see you next time.